Tag und willkommen. My name is Karolina May-Chu. I'm Assistant Professor of German here at UW-M. In this video lecture, I will give you a short introduction to German culture and food, which is a very brief snippet of one of the English courses that we offer, which is German 145 Views of Germany. And if you would like to find out more about the German program, the courses we offer, and our German major, minor, and the minor in business German, I would also like to invite you to visit the German program's website. So let's get started. In this unit, you've already learned about the history of the Turners in Milwaukee and about Mathilde Anneke. And as you know, both are an important part of the history of German immigration to the United States. So do you have German ancestors, or do you know someone of German descent? I know I can't hear you right now, unfortunately, but chances are that you at least know someone of German ancestry in your community. And according to the US Census Bureau, 14.9% of the American population claim German ancestry. And that's almost 46 million people. And it's a higher percentage than claim Irish or English ancestry. And the map you see here shows you German ancestry as a percentage of each county's population. And the areas in red are 40% or more German ancestry. And as you can see, the counties in Wisconsin are consistently high, between 25 to 40% or more claiming German ancestry. Altogether, an estimated 7 million German speakers emigrated to the United States over the past 200 years. Most Germans, though, they came to the United States in 3 major immigration waves in the 19th century. And these Germans were very heterogeneous. You really have to think of them as German-speaking groups from different regions with very strong regional identities rather than a overarching German identity. And in fact, Germany was not unified as a nation state until 1871. The first significant wave came from southwestern Germany, but also from the German-speaking regions of Switzerland and the Austrian Empire. And this wave peaked in the early 1850s. The second wave came from northwestern and central Germany, and they arrived after the Civil War. The third wave came from northeastern Germany, an area dominated by Prussia, and which was at the time Germany's largest state and whose capital was Berlin. But this wave also included other areas, and these people came in the 1880s. But why did Germans come to the United States? There were, of course, a variety of reasons. Religious persecution was one push factor, and in 1839, 20 Lutheran families came to Wisconsin, and they founded a community named Freistadt. And if you go to Mequon today, you can still see the historic sites related to this earliest German settlement. Economic factors played by far the most important role in attracting Germans to Wisconsin. And in fact, the first and second wave of immigrants left Germany mostly for economic reasons. Political reasons also played a role, and many Germans had to flee after the failed democratic revolutions of 1848. These are the so-called 48ers. Now, this was a very brief overview, and if you would like to learn more about the history of Germans in America, I recommend a free booklet and poster that is published by the Max Kade Institute for German American Studies at UW-Madison. And this was also my source for a lot of the information I just gave you. The link will be provided in the additional readings site on Canvas. Now let's shift our focus a little bit. And here I would like you to think about the German traces you see where you live. Are there any buildings, people, foods that you know to be German? And if you're from Milwaukee or Wisconsin, just think about whether you have come in contact with anything German or German American in your community or in your personal life. And I invite you to pause this video here and take a few moments to think about these questions, and then resume the video when you are ready. I cannot hear your responses, of course, but chances are that you were able to come up with at least a few examples of German traces in your community. Now in Milwaukee, there's again Turner Hall, whose architect was German-born Henry Koch, and Koch is also the architect of many other buildings in and outside of Wisconsin. For example, importantly, Milwaukee City Hall, which is based both on German precedents, such as Hamburg City Hall, and other local examples. There's also the Pfister Hotel, the Golda Meir School, all by the same architect. Milwaukee even has an exact replica of the very famous statue of two of Germany's most important writers, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe and Friedrich Schiller. And this monument has stood in Washington Park since 1908, and you can find the original if you go to Weimar. The Pabst Theater is another important example of German traces in Milwaukee, and that's not just because of the brewer, Captain Frederick Pabst, who himself was a German immigrant, but also because of its architect, Otto Strack. Strack also designed what is today known as Best Place at the historic Pabst Brewery. And to find out a little bit more about German architecture in Milwaukee, I highly recommend a video made in 2016 by a student in the German program. And you will find the link to the video also on the additional resources page. So now that we mentioned the Pabst Brewery, this brings us to more German traces. Of course, many of the associations we have with German culture in Milwaukee are related to food. And you are probably thinking of Milwaukee's breweries, of beer gardens, or places like Usinger's, restaurants like Mader's, Karl Ratsch's, von Trier, and many, many more. So, what do you think of when you think of German food culture? If you're thinking of German food culture in general, you're probably thinking beer, bread, and brats. You might have also thought of Oktoberfest, or of sauerkraut and potatoes, of ham hocks, or of spätzle. And all this is, of course, correct. But what was true of 19th century Germans is also true today. Germany and German culture are very heterogeneous, and you will see great diversity in German foods due to regional variations, immigration, and many international influences. And that is why pizza, Döner, and Fischbrötchen, which is a bun with pickled herring and onion, are equally important staples of contemporary German food culture. And in addition, many of the foods that you will find in the United States are also loved by Germans. From pad thai to sushi to tacos, from vegetarian to vegan to meat-heavy dishes, German food culture is indeed beer, bread, and brats, but it is also much, much more. You have read two articles for today that both discuss this fact from very different angles. One article attempts to explain the demise of traditional German restaurants in the United States and also in Milwaukee, and the other one gave examples of the different food trends in Germany today. So, by way of summarizing these articles, since we can't discuss them in person today, I would like you to now answer a few questions about the readings. So, in conclusion, I would like you to think about these two articles together and to maybe consider that what is perhaps in decline in the United States is not so much German food culture in general, but rather an understanding of German food that is based on the 19th century, and that's also heavily based on Southern German cuisine. Now, Spätzle, Sauerbraten, and ham hocks will likely remain delicious staples of German American cuisine, but it is also nice that some restaurants are showing great innovation and are open to experimentation. And in this way, I'm hopeful that German food will continue to be present and attractive to diners in the United States, but also more generally that German food and German culture in general will be appreciated for their diversity. And with this, I would like to end this lecture. Thank you very much for your attention. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. And I now invite you to a brief German lesson and to learn more about the German language. Auf Wiedersehen.